Yeah. Right. Start again, shall we? Hi, welcome to Sci-Fi Fans. I'm Wayne, and this is a live broadcast that I do on a Friday now on my YouTube channel called Sci-Fi Fans. So I will also be using this audio for the podcast. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, then thank you for joining me on the podcast. You can find the videos. I do the videos, and then the podcast will go out about a week later. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. So what have I been up to this week, and what are we chatting about? Films, as always. By the way, I am a author. I've published my first book, Broken Ceasefire, which is available on the Amazon bookstore. And I've also got a short story called Xander's Salvation, and that's available on the Amazon bookstore under the KDP program as well. So if you've got Kindle Unlimited, you can download a free copy of Broken Ceasefire, Xander's Salvation. Or if you haven't got Kindle and you want to go somewhere else for your ebook, then you can find Broken Ceasefire on other platforms as well, such as Apple and Google. So what have I been up to this week? I've started another job, and this is to run in conjunction with my main job, which I hopefully will be going back to work soon, as soon as I can sort things out. But as you all know, I am a big science fiction fan, and would be called a nerd, I suppose. And I've just taken that a step further by applying for a job. What happened was I was on a Facebook page for Aliens, and one of the people within the group had a picture taken at the National Film and Science Fiction Museum of the Alien set that they have, and they've got some really good pieces. So I looked at that and realised that the National Museum for Film and Science Fiction was actually relatively close. It's about 30 miles away in Milton Keynes. Undeterred, I contacted them and just had a look on their website, and they said that they were looking for volunteers. And so I sent off an email to say, hey, this is me. I've got a successful TikTok channel, progressing on YouTube as well as the podcast. I'm a big science fiction fan myself, and I'd like to come and volunteer wherever I can. So about a week or so later, I got an email to say, thank you very much for applying for a position of a volunteer, and we'd love to have you on board. Here are the dates, and we'll get you underway with your first time session. So I'm really excited to receive the email from Matt, and I kind of thought, well, okay, what happens now? Where do we go here from here? So we arranged a time, and I took a day off work from my main job. So it's all above board. I'm not doing anything that I'm not working there when I could be working at my main job as well. And I wouldn't do that, because at the end of the day, my main job pays me bills. This is just a bit of volunteering fun, and just see where it goes. So the old sat-nav said that it's going to be about 30 miles away and take about an hour on the M1, subject to traffic. And I don't know if you know anything about the M1. If you know the M1, you know what problem it can be. If you're not in the UK or you've never been on the M1, then you don't know. I'll just describe it to you. It's a pain. They're doing some roadworks as well, halfway between here, where I live, and Milton Keynes. So the speed limit goes from 70 miles an hour down to 30 and then 40. And it can be a little bit of a fun and games to get to where you want to be. So I set off nice and early this morning, and it took about 45 minutes that the old sat-nav said that it would do, including the roadworks. So I'm going through the process of, obviously I'm doing this for free. I'm giving up my time to go and help them out at this museum, because it just seems like a really good opportunity to find out more about how these films are made, and essentially look at the props and that are all involved in the process, which again can supply me with some content for TikTok, or like I'm doing now on YouTube, or the podcast. So I get there and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not getting paid for being there, which is fair enough. It's volunteer. Then I suddenly consider about parking, and my first thought is, oh, I'm going to get this is going to cost me an arm and a leg in parking. But it doesn't. Where they are in Milton Keynes, the parking is 50p per hour, so you can be £1.50 for 3 hours, which where I live locally, that's quite cheap. They charge you like 70p for just half an hour in St Albans, where we go shopping most of the time, and some of the main shopping centres, it just gets like really silly priced. So I was really relieved. It only cost me like £2.50 for parking. Obviously, this is going to cost me in petrol and wear and tear on the car, but at the end of the day, I accept that because this is something that I've volunteered my time for. And so parking was sorted, and then I go upstairs to the museum, and I was given a brief, short rundown on fire process, fire procedure, and what to do in the case of an emergency. So I signed in, gone through all of that, and then I was given a lanyard which just said volunteer on it. Now there was a couple of other volunteers there as well, and I got talking to one of them who was called Paul, and yeah, he lived similar sort of distance to myself, and same sort of thing. He loves the film industry and loves what we see in what we class as pop culture, so he thought he'd do the same as me and help out. So yeah, it is the National Film and Science Fiction Museum in Milton Keynes, and it's reasonably priced for entry. I think it's about £13 to get in. They also have a video game centre as well, so an arcade, and they've called that Pixel Bunker, which is really cool as well. And I'll talk about the Pixel Bunker in about 5 or 10 minutes or so. So after the debrief, I go in, and it's essentially the job is obviously to be there for the members of the public that have any problems or issues or get lost, and also just to keep an eye, because they do have one golden rule which needs to be adhered to, and I'll explain why it's important and why I agree with it. And the one rule is that you don't take any photos or take pictures of the exhibits only in designated areas where you can take a selfie with. They had I'm going to ask the Oracle here now. So, Oracle, what's the big hairy monster that is in Labyrinth? The big hairy one that follows,
like Yeti type thing.
Yeah, that follows her around. Because that's the first photo opportunity. This is where I'm going to let myself down badly. It's not Doju. Is that how you pronounce it? Oh, it's the gingery coloured monster that's really, really tall. Just trying to find out the name of it, but that's one photo opportunity there that they have. So for those of you that are listening to the podcast, when I go live on TikTok, I have the off-screen Oracle, which is my wife, and she finds out all sorts of information and trivia points as I go along, so that I have the information to hand. But sometimes it doesn't work when you just spring this on the Oracle. Isn't that right?
Yes, dear.
Yeah, so do apologise for the time. So
you
yeah.
don't really, do you?
What? Apologise or sorry?
Right, hang on.
Because this companion is it's like Basil Brush on a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back a few years there, isn't it? Basil Brush. Ludo. Yeah, so you can have a selfie with Ludo, and then Monsters Inc. You've got the big blue one, Sully. So yeah, you can have your picture taken with a couple of other characters, and they're designated areas. Otherwise, it's a no photograph policy. And the reason why they have that policy is because if people took loads of photos of all the exhibits, then they're not going to go to the museum, which then means that the business itself is going to fail because it won't have the audience, and it needs the audience. And it's something that I wholeheartedly would support and recommend. If you do live in the UK and you're close enough to Milton Keynes, you've got a spare afternoon or morning, go to the National Film and Science Museum, because the exhibits that they have got are just phenomenal, and there's loads of them. So the films that are covered, and I'm not going to go into detail on what they have there, but obviously you've got Star Wars, that is quite a big part in there, Star Trek, Aliens, a little bit of Predator. They've got a Jerry Anderson section, which, yeah, I had a look at some of the exhibits that they got in the Jerry Anderson part, and to be honest, it surprised me, the actual stuff that they've got there. Everything's covered. Doctor Who's covered, and a little bit of Harry Potter as well. The guys that are running the exhibition, the museum, they've collected all this memorabilia and props from a very early age. I mean, I was talking to somebody that worked there, and she told me that that Jason had been collecting since he was about 17 years old, and he has actually worked in the industry as well. So he's worked on some of these films that we have the props for.
Am I right in thinking some of these displays were Star Wars to Indiana Jones,
Yeah,
James Bond to Ghostbusters, Harry Potter to Marvel, and
yeah,
over hundreds of films
yeah.
and shows we love and have been brought up with.
Is that what it's? Did you read that off their website?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to say it a little bit louder so people can hear it? So this is on their website, and this is a description of the exhibits that they've got.
Yeah. The museum will feature an extensive collection of props, costumes, arts, photos, and footages from some of the biggest films and TV productions. There will be something for everyone, with many artifacts being shown for the very first time to the public. Displays from Star Wars to Indiana Jones, James Bond to Ghostbusters, Harry Potter to Marvel, and over 100 films and shows we all love and have been brought up with.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, and what I found today is, obviously I had, well, you pay your ticket, you've got as much time as you want to have a look around all the exhibits. So on that side of it, it's kind of like Harry Potter World, which is in Watford, where you pay, and although they recommend 2 or 3 hours to walk around Harry Potter, you can be there for as long as you like. And this is the same with the National Film and Science Museum, or Sci-Fi Museum. So you go in, you've got all the time that you want. And what I noticed when I was going around a couple of times is the stuff that you don't see first time. So you can walk around and you just see so many different artifacts from these films, and then as you go around a second time, you notice something different all the time. And yeah, that's just kind of like testament to the collection that they've got. It is extensive, and this is apparently just a small percentage of the collection on merchandise and props that they have. And I just look at them, I think to myself, you know, if this is just a small percentage of what they've got, then how big is their entire collection, and will we ever get to see their entire collection? Now, the video game thing, Pixel Bunker, again, I found out that they've got over 100 classic video games in there. And when I say classic, I mean games that I was playing in the late 80s, and one of which is Star Wars. Now, I don't know if anybody listening or watching have actually played the original Star Wars game that came out. It sets you off in an X-Wing fighter, and you are basically Luke Skywalker taking on the Death Star. They've got that there, and that's so I was like real kind of taken back here to my past and my childhood, because I haven't seen this arcade game for a good 20 plus years. Another video game that they've got is Tron, and I haven't again seen that in the flesh for that long as well. So yeah, they've got over 100 games in the Pixel Bunker, and the idea with the Pixel Bunker is that you book a time slot. They have 3 time slots during the day, and you book that, you pay for that, and then you can play all of the games as many times as you like until obviously the end of your time slot. Talking to one of the other people that works there, they have got an entire warehouse of these old video arcade games. So again, what we're seeing at the museum is just literally the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to going back and doing some more volunteering work for them. And the address is, I shall just read it off here. So the address is Lloyd's Court, 34 Selclow Gate West, Milton Keynes, MK9 3AT. So if you want to type that in, that's all right. Just been talking about, so I've just had Jocelyn Carter join me. That's fine, no worries. So yeah, if you haven't, as I say, get a chance to go to the National Film and Science Museum and also the Pixel Bunker, which is really cool. I'm looking forward to going back and doing some more volunteering at the museum. And yeah, that's what I've been doing today. So the Friday live that I'm doing on YouTube is just, I've done my first one last week and it went quite well. So I thought I'd do it again this week, and it's going to become a regular feature. So once I've gone live on TikTok, which I normally do between 9 and 10 p.m. in the UK, I should be coming on YouTube for about half an hour or so. And then hopefully, if I ever be able to use the footage from YouTube and stick it on the podcast. So how are you, Jocelyn? What have you been up to? So what are you doing at the weekend? Something that I ask, and on TikTok, get some good answers and get some silly answers as well. So what we're going to a birthday party, and oh, cool. Glad to hear that. That's all right. Something that I'm still getting used to with the live on YouTube is the 8-second delay. So you see me 8 seconds in the past. So, and yeah, as I said last week, I kind of appreciate why when I watch people like Dale and Z, and you're sitting there on YouTube typing in the comments, and then some of them flash by and the person that you're talking to doesn't respond to your comment because they don't see it until 8 seconds after they've already spoken. And yeah, I can see sometimes, I can see now why some of my comments don't always get answered, because they, you know, all these comments flashing by, it's difficult to read them all. But I haven't got that problem tonight. So that's cool. What job do you do, Jocelyn? And definitely tomorrow. Cool. I've got a really good. I should have done this at the beginning actually. So yeah. So Broken Ceasefire available on Amazon and Google and Apple and Barnes and Noble, all good bookstores, online at least. Yeah, I've got a customer service rep. Ooh, yeah. So you deal with. I can imagine that can be quite heavy when you get a bit of an annoyed customer coming on, moaning and complaining about stuff. I will be getting some words in over the weekend. I've got the sequel to Broken Ceasefire. I'm up to a really good point where I'm going to be introducing some more characters. So I should be doing that over the weekend, possibly a bit on Sunday. So I'm about 8,000 or 9,000 words in on the second book. So I just need to do another 30 and then I can wrap it up. Yeah, I know somebody who they're a customer rep as well, and they're in this particular company. I think they deal with the hairdressers and salons, so they organise well, they're the customer rep for the salons, but what's happened is in the distribution, they've totally messed up the distribution and products that they've sent out to all these salons, and they're the ones getting the brunt. The poor customer service people are getting the customers on the end of the phone moaning that their order's totally gone south, but they can't do anything about it because they don't speak to ordering. If that makes any sense. So, yeah, I'm going to be getting a few more words over the weekend and possibly a few more on Monday. I've got up to a really good point now where my main character, they're kind of come across this loner, and essentially what's happened in the sequel, I can imagine it being very tough, and probably not very well paid either, because this is what I've noticed a lot of these companies will do. They'll sit and cream off all the profits, and the real people at the front of the business that take on all the grief get paid very little in comparison. So I've got my main character stuck on a planet which is totally under alien invasion and control, and she's come across a new fighting team that weren't around in the first book. So got quite a few interesting characters to develop and then take the story forward from there, as well as bringing in the original characters. Jocelyn, what do you write? I've seen you on a couple of streams, but I don't think I've seen what you write. So. Oh, wait for you to answer. Oh, cool. Really cool. I'll tell you what, the guy that... Where's that gone? I'm so organised. No. I don't know if I told you this, but yeah, this guy, Matt Blissett, the Lightning Theosaurus, I met Matt at Comic Con in Great Yarmouth in August, and I've got my signed copy. And yeah, I read this. I'd love to do a review of it for him. It's a really great little story. There's 100 and just over 200 pages. So it's 200 and so 212 pages in here, and it's a really good story with the character development is really cool. There's some great plot twists and some things that I didn't see coming. And so if you do get a chance, grab yourself a copy for Matt. Have you got anything already published that we can have a read of, Jocelyn? It's difficult because you can't add in on the text. Contact me, or if you can, name your book in the text, and we can have a look at that. So, are they set in the future, or are they just supernatural? Yeah. So, is it futuristic sci-fi fantasy or historical, like happened a few years ago, kind of like Star Wars, where we have that a long time ago? New window. Do a new window. So yeah, if you're watching, say hi. Let me know so I know who's watching and where you're from. Copy Dale's trick on that one. No. Are your books available? Are they? Hi, Joe. How are you? And what are you up to at the weekend? You're right. Kids books 8 to 11th. 8 to 12. Okay, I'll thank you for that. I'll have a look. And sci-fi fantasy is cool. So if you want to come on the podcast, just let me know. We'll sort out a date. I'm trying to have a guest come on the podcast about once a month. I did notice because I've done Cylinder, she came on, which really, and I'm grateful for everybody that comes on board for the podcast. So Cylinder came on, and a guy in Argentina, Asad Rodriguez, he's been on twice now and promoting both of his books, which again are really cool. With Asad, he's got this wonderful idea that the you've got these superhuman beings that have all these different abilities, then they've inherited them from aliens. But when the aliens landed, like they were considered to be gods. So he's got some great mythology going on with his books. So, and he's been on twice. He's come on because the first one was Call of the Shaman. Then the second one, I think, was Rise of the Gods. And the third book that he's doing in the series is something about the First Covenant. So it's Benjamin Jones and the first Covenant, or the first book of spells. It's kind of like that. Once he's got it ready, he'll probably come on the podcast again. So I should check out your books. There you go. So anyone watching that's into sci-fi fantasy, then check out Jocelyn Carter. So that's cool. Are you on? You right? First published sci-fi novel. Original supernatural characters. That's cool. That's cool. Okay. Let's see. Can I? I'm still like figuring out Duck. It is Duck going it? No, it's StreamYard. Can't even get that right. So it's StreamYard. Yeah, I'll check that out. It sounds really cool. I'm only going to be on for another minute or so. It's only intentionally to do half an hour after TikTok Live. So if you're watching this on the replay and you've enjoyed listening to what I have to say, appreciate that. And don't forget, you can join me on TikTok on Sci-Fi Fans, as well as a weekly podcast, Sci-Fi Fans. So cool. Yeah, I'll certainly check out your books. Definitely. But I've got another window open, so I'm going to go to that. I know there's probably a way of screen sharing, isn't there, on here? This is something that nobody tells you this. When you want to go into the self-publishing industry and become a writer, nobody tells you the extra work that you have to do. And when I say extra work, we all expect to be self-publishing and writing to be hard work. What I didn't expect was the amount of new skills that I would have to learn, such as really become relatively good at editing. Then you've also got to be good at formatting. And then if you're trying to use social media as a platform to promote your work, you've then got to become an expert in the social media side of things. So yeah, I mean, I'd say if anybody's watching this and they want to become a self-published author, then go for it, definitely. But just be aware it is going to be very much, it's a marathon rather than a sprint, and there is an awful lot of new skills that you're going to have to learn. And YouTube is one of them. I shall get there. Right, so you can Google. Right, so it's Google with J Carter. Okay, right, I've got a picture. Oh, hang on, what's going on? Nope. And as the stream comes to a crashing end. Okay, Word. So you're on WordPress then? Right, I've got you. I've got you on WordPress. All right. Do you do the? Do you do your own illustrations? They're good. I like those. That's cool. I like that. Your student graphic design project. That's pretty cool. 20 Netflixes. Are they? I'm just looking at your article on Narnia. Chronicles Narnia says, yeah, C.S. Lewis. Oh, that could be epic if they do that. What do you reckon, Oracle? Narniaverse on Netflix.
That would be good.
I reckon that could rival the Lord of the Rings.
If they do it properly.
If they do it properly, I can see that succeeding better. You've just given me a topic for next Friday's live. Cheers, mate. I'll have to look into that. That's really cool. Okay. Yes, just a short one tonight. I'm going to go live for about half an hour on Fridays. So thank you very much for joining me. And take care of yourselves. I'll see you in a week's time, or if I see you on a writing sprint somewhere. So cheers. Thank you very much, and take care. I will see you all next week. Till then, bye.